talk a little bit about the energy of September. As you can see already, there's a lot going on with assassinations, not even assassination attempt, right? Actual assassination that was carried through. So I want to just go into what Source has to tell us for this month, with it already starting this way, and what it is that we need to know, okay? So, Source. Do it here a little bit loud. Source, what is your message for us in the month of September? One of the things that Source wants to touch on is the importance of family. Now, Source doesn't say that family needs to necessarily be related by blood, but just people that love you and that you love. That's really all Source is saying that you need, is to just love one another, and also have that respect for each other as well. Source is also saying that the family unit is no longer what it used to be. You know, it used to be a pass down of wisdom from generation to generation. And now that wisdom, that knowledge is lacking. Once you're born into a family, you're just kind of left to fend for yourself in certain aspects. This is not for everybody. Source is definitely talking about how things have changed and we need to go back to the old ways of passing down the knowledge, even if this is verbal history, you know, that has been passed on from generations to generations. We need to go back and find out more about where we come from, who we are, different stories that have carried on for years or that have taken place in history. I wanted to say plans, so I'm getting like architectural designs. For some, it's like even the way things were built in the past, and how things were made. We need to study those things because we need to go back to what was working for us, and instead of falling into the traps of modern technology being too modern and us, they're saying potentially destroy the earth, because they're not going to allow that to happen. So that's where the potential comes out of. But it's like we have to be more knowledgeable and aware of what is going on with us and why we are the way we are and how we got to this point. We need to educate ourselves, okay? That's what Source is saying. By educating ourselves, we can leave the old ways and lose the and not lose in a sense of as if, you know, we're at a loss, but lose the idea of thinking that this is the only way. We need to really look back at the ways of our elders and how they lived, because they showed us that the way we're living now is not the only way. Okay? We have too many cases where we're thinking logically and we're nitpicking on every single thing that we hear, that we see, looking at the specifics of everything. And sometimes we just need to look at the overall picture and just go by that. So, for example, if someone did us wrong, right? We're nitpicking on the fact that they did us wrong, what they did wasn't right, how could they do that to us? And then we just stay in that energy. But what about thinking, well, what did this teach me? What did this show me about this person? The way I reacted, what did that show me about myself? What is it that source is trying to show me? What is it that source is trying to tell me? What is it that I'm learning now about who I am and how I want to respond to certain energies like this? Do I want to respond negatively, or do I want to respond neutrally, where I'm like, I just let it go over my shoulder? So we need to start asking the right questions instead of looking at everything as like a woe is me perspective. Okay? And here is the owl, right? The owl is usually known for wisdom, guidance. Some of you as well may have some type of religious ties through your ancestry and how they got into Christianity and things of that nature, or even the occult. Okay? Now, I've started reading this book called Moonology, and I'm going to actually put it in a link of it soon on my page so that you'll be able to purchase it if you're interested. But this card here reminds me of the book, because a lot of these cards include the moon in them. And then it has the two crows that are like, for me, they're kind of like circling around each other, and they're going off to, get their prey. A lot of us are kind of just sitting still, being stagnant, and not going after what we want. Again, we need to go into the arts from the past and connect to nature and what is around us, rather than trying to relate to material worth, material aspects of things, but really be able to go within ourselves to see what makes us happy. They're talking about in the past, the women, the goddesses, were fierce. They were strong warriors. They were intuitive. They asked questions. They reflected. They spoke in high light of one another. And I'm getting a lot of sadness here, because our ancestors of the past are like, we want you guys to go back to this loving energy of knowing who you are and how powerful you are. To see, here's the cards with the owl and the cat, to see what we see. And the owl is not saying that we're put on a pedestal, but it's like, that's how you guys see us. Not realizing that you're at the same level and that you are who we are. In this picture, there's two wolves there. You're the wolf and I'm the wolf. There is no owl and cat. There are no two different species. There only is one and the same. Stop seeing people or entities or things in a higher light, in a higher status. That is not the case. We're all on the same levels because essentially we all are source. This here, the time has passed, the books have been read, the knowledge has been gained, and there has been awakening. So the end goal is one and the same, and that is awakening. You have the power to do so, and in this month of September, you basically make the decision to go one way or to go the other way. There's one way that stays in the same status quo on how things have always been, and there's the other way of following the old ways, following the ancient ways of our ancestors, and going back to the past to remember who we are. Okay, I'm gonna pull one oracle card here to summarize our September energy. Source, what is the message for the energy in September, Source? What is it that you would like us all to know at this point in the month of September? All right, let's see here. Repairing the veil. Forgiveness. Forgiveness. And this is coming up a lot here. We had, I just did my Charlie Kirk reading and forgiveness came up as well. All right, let's read what this says, shall we? This is the message, the overall message and the energy of September. Between us all is a thin veil, appearing to be a space that separates us. We look through this veil and believe ourselves to be distinct from each other. We assume that our thoughts and feelings are our own. We see bodies and objects and the spaces between them, so we engage the world in relationships between a duality of us and them. This veil serves as a mysterious illusion, making it so hard to believe in our inherent connection and unity. We can't always remember that what we do to someone else, we at the same time do to ourselves. When we claw at the veil out of fear, anger, jealousy, or resentment, manipulate another, misuse our power, or allow someone's actions to diminish us, we create a wound felt by many. And this connects back to the situation with Charlie Kirk. Not just those of us in the smaller direct relationship. Now is the time to examine where your actions have caused difficulty or harm to someone else, and also where you have been the recipient of harm. Okay, didn't I mention being reflective? Asking yourself, well, why did I react this way? Well, why did I feel a certain way? What the reaction, what does that tell me about myself? So asking those questions. Regardless of what side you are on, it's important to take responsibility for healing this rift by bringing love, compassion, and deep listening and presence to whatever is not in harmony. Do this for you and for your own liberty, as you become an unwitting hostage once you take the role of perpetrator or victim, both positions of weakness. Let go of all your resentments, know your part in the dynamic, and make the appropriate amends with that newfound wisdom. We were talking about wisdom, right? With that owl. With your newfound wisdom and understanding, healing, forgiveness, and mending what is broken in your world is a sweet, much needed declaration of freedom. So forgiveness is the theme in the month of September. If there's someone that you need to forgive, then go ahead and forgive that person and release whatever it is that they did to you. You don't need to call them. You don't need to talk to them. If you choose to do so, that's fine. But you can also just say an affirmation and say, I forgive any and all beings who have hurt me. I choose to move on from this. I appreciate the lesson, the reflection that this has shown me, and I now release it. So it is uttered, so it is. And that's it. It's been released. It's in the ethers, it's in the universe, it's gone. The light, the sun has sucked it. And now you can move on. Okay? There's going to be a transformation of our DNA this month as well. Okay? So things may be changing here. Just make sure that you are present in the here and now. All right.